Sup, snakes? In today's video, this is a finger heart, by the way. In today's video, we are watching yet another bit of Family Guy and talking about Fallout references within it. So in this specific video, I'm not going to be watching full episodes because these aren't full episodes. Family Guy is known for their cutaways. So we're kind of watching either shorter experimental segments of Family Guy, or we're watching cutaways that seem to be references to nuclear fallout. Whether or not that is connected to the game series Fallout remains to be determined, and we will be delving into that in today's video. But I do have an announcement. Boop, 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 boop. That's Morse code. Mama's doing her very first giveaway on YouTube. Don't know why I'm doing this voice. But yeah, I am giving away a Starfield controller, new sealed in box. Check the seal, to one of my lucky followers. Statistics on my channel show that you might not be following me. Well, here's some incentive in the means of this glorious Starfield controller, complete with custom design and see-through triggers. It also has a pretty neat box that you can hold onto if you're a collector like me. I'll be giving it away to a US follower who goes and comments on my unboxing video. Don't worry, I'll link it. Something that they're excited about for the Starfield game. There are rules to this. It is not sponsored. You have to be 18 or over, US. We might go international eventually, but at this time, no. And the rest of the info about it is on my community tab. Be sure to go check that out. I will link that video. Be sure you're following if you aren't already. And let's get into the bulk of the actual video today. Drop that intro. So we're going to watch just this particular scene in this episode of Family Guy, but to give you context for this episode, it is season 16, episode 16. I recommend you go back and watch the actual episode because I never show the full episode in these videos. I encourage you to go watch them if you are so inclined. Dive deeper into it. Maybe there's more references I missed, but we're going to watch this specific scene that is very Fallout themed, as it were. Now, do I think that either were inspired by one another, Fallout or Family Guy? Not necessarily, but I still like watching these through the lens of a Fallout fan. And then we will move on to our next clip after this one. So I'm going to get it back to where it needs to go and we'll watch it. So in case you're wondering, this is flipped. I do that just in case, you know. This is fair use. I am commenting on it, but we also do this just in case. So in this episode, they're doing like Family Guy through the ages. And the first age they start with is the 50s. And they have this interesting little scene here that is very Fallout themed. So let's watch it.
Dad, I overheard the fellas talking. Can I ask you a question about girls?
Of course, son. You're a young man now. It's natural to be curious.
Thanks, Pop. What's knuckle dunk?
Oh, atomic test. Put on your glasses.
Okay, so atomic test, put on your glasses. I love this. I think it's a hilarious reference to the fact that, you know, we did do above ground nuclear testing for a considerable amount of time in this country and around the world. And, you know, there is some theory that it is still done in certain countries around the world that didn't agree not to do it. But this is funny because, like, the propaganda around nuclear testing and all of that, and even impending nuclear war, was really like, you'll be fine. You know, in this joke they're making, put on your sunglasses, we're doing nuclear testing, in the setting of classrooms for, like, during the Cold War, they had the books that were like duck and cover. Fallout also has these duck and cover books as their like skill magazines or skill books. And I think it's really funny. It's a common thread between the two of just this like calm attitude towards nuclear weapons and like testing them or them being detonated. Like either you have the people who are building their bomb shelters or the people who are like, just duck and cover, you know, which is more of a control of like to keep people calm in the event of this happening. So that's kind of like the reference of like, oh, you'll be fine. Just put on your sunglasses.
Never mind what your friend said. If you want to have fun with your girl, try dancing. It's fun and good for your health.
Swell, that's helpful. So what's going on if a guy says a girl has a red scare in her Harry Truman?
Period joke. So like they're obviously ignoring this whole thing that's happening, which, you know, as I said in my like where to visit around Las Vegas, if you're a Fallout fan video, if you haven't watched that, go back and watch it. It's a good video, especially if you're visiting Vegas. they have a nuclear testing museum because they did do above ground nuclear tests in Nevada and in other states. And like the attitudes around that were so interesting because it's like, yeah, no, it's safe. Which is kind of like what they're doing here. And that's definitely an attitude we see in Fallout. Like I said, it's there's a pendulum and you're kind of like, you swing one way or you swing the other on that. Like you're either terrified of it or you're like, whatever. That's what they're doing here. They're fully ignoring it, which I think is hilarious.
Oh, look, here comes the milkman. So convenient. Good evening.
So yeah, that's pretty good. That's a good little segment here. That's kind of Fallout themed. I think it's funny. I just like the ignoring of everything is on brand for because both of them are referencing source material of actual history with like the kind of like chill attitude that a lot of people had towards this kind of thing. And I think that's pretty funny. Okay, so this isn't directly Fallout, but I'm gonna jump ahead to this little segment where they're watching TV because it definitely gives like the vibes of that era. And Fallout obviously takes inspiration from that era for even like the style of their spacesuits, like retro-futurism. Very cool.
1994, and the moon belongs to Earth.
It's funny. The future being 94 is hilarious.
Rawr.
Ooh, even his like little gun there was very like obviously retro-futurism, something we see throughout Fallout. That inspiration obviously comes from the 50s. I like his like little suit. Are you guys noticing like the little line down it? It's giving Vault suit. Low key. I don't think that's what it's actually referencing, but it is something fun to point out. Okay, so in this episode, which is season 10, episode 5, they go back to the pilot, and while they're back in the pilot, because the pilot came out in the 1999, Brian prevents 9/11 from happening. I don't think they fully explain it because it came out in 1999, but the pilot, it doesn't make sense time-wise. 2001 is when 9/11 happened, obviously. But because he changed the past, it affected the future in like an interesting way. And they go into a scene where everything's 3D, and it seems, innocuous. And then we get a little Fallout-y twist. So that's what we're going to talk about.
Wow, this is the future? Everything looks slicker.
Hey, Lois, I found some double-sided tape. I think I can do about 7 minutes worth of funny stuff with it. That should get us to the Meg kissing booth story.
Wow.
And they're obviously very lazy now, which I think is hilarious.
Things have gotten kind of lazy, huh?
Hey, Peter. Thanks for letting me borrow your screwdriver set. I just want to say how nice it is to be back here with y'all on Spooner Street.
I guess things didn't work out in Virginia.
Chris, I heard you got a D on your report.
This was during the Cleveland show, so Cleveland being back, some interesting foreshadowing there because he does come back because that show does get canceled. I like the Cleveland show. I thought it was funny. It was like where they did the most weird experimental jokes that they were going to do. So there's some weird crap in the Cleveland show, but I liked it. I'm sad that those characters are like not as much a part of Family Guy anymore. I think it would be cool to have like more of Donna and like, Cleveland Jr. and Rilo and stuff, but the actors aren't like in a full-time or like in a full gig anymore. So a lot of them I feel like have moved on, but occasionally we'll get some lines from Donna and stuff like that. So
God, here's a cutaway. Matthew McConaughey is terrible.
Lord, what's happened to us? Okay, maybe things seem a little off, but other than that, the world seems okay. Which proves my point. Me stopping 9/11 led to a world that's just fine.
Well, I'll see y'all tomorrow.
yeah, Cleveland's got that like full PPE. We've talked about it before, but Family Guy does a decent job on like showing PPE, especially for these like radiation suits. The coverage, he's got full coverage. Look at him here. He's got his little like respirator exhaust. He's got the gloves. The suit itself is tucked into the gloves. Super important for PPE, and obviously he's got a gun.
Brian, you might want to look outside.
Oh my God.
Oh, what a cool like sequence here. Look at this. This is awesome. I really like this sequence of like imagery here of obviously a completely devastated Quahog, Rhode Island. You see like the half house here. It's like literally half a house. Very Fallout energy, obviously. This is going to end up being more of a Terminator reference, but I still think it's cool. We got overturned cars, things on fire, like an explosion happening in the distance. Total Fallout energy. Super fun to see in the context of Family Guy.
Oh, pebble in my shoe, pebble in my shoe, pebble in my shoe.
Nice work, Bri.
Whoops. Well, at least Joe gets to be a cyborg.
We see the Terminator reference, obviously.
Freeze, Frogmire!
I like it. I like that. I think there's like, there's a little, obviously this is very clearly a Terminator reference, but we also get this like little mutated, like, Cleveland, who's a frog now, obviously Frogmire now, which I think is funny. I think there's like a mix of inspiration in this. So I think it's very clear that some kind of nuclear fallout has happened. Obviously we have like Terminator happening. I don't know what's going on with Skynet in this scenario, but I think it's pretty funny that like we have these like mixed elements of like, in my mind, kind of mixed references and things like that. And I like the addition of like frog Quagmire. I think that's very Fallout. I don't know if the writers took any inspiration from Fallout. This came out in 2011. So it would probably be more of, I believe it was 2011. And this probably be a little bit more of Fallout 3, if anything, but I still think it's fun. And you decide in the comments if there's any actual Fallout references here, but I still think it's fun.
You are out past curfew and therefore in violation of local ordinance.
Ribbity.
Yeah, pretty good. Look at that scene too. There's definitely, I mean, obviously I'm aware it's a lot of Terminator energy here, but still very cool. Still, we get that orange colored sky. Some kind of nuclear winter's occurring. I don't think the weather would look like that smoky and gross if it weren't like some kind of like nuclear winter in my mind. So I think it's pretty cool. So here we get the reveal of how this happened. Let's hear it.
Caused all this?
It says here that the new American Civil War you set into motion ended up in a series of concentrated nuclear strikes all along the eastern seaboard. It killed 17 million people.
Oh.
Including Caesar Milan.
No!
Okay, so yeah, it is a concentrated amount of nuclear strikes very along the eastern seaboard, which I think is interesting too, because like the East, that was hit very hard in the Fallout universe. We have a lot of areas like we've seen out west now, especially specifically in Utah and Nevada, that don't seem very impacted by the strike, or not as much. Obviously, we know for Mr. House that he had his missile defense system that was very intricate and very complicated that prevented a lot from happening there. But then on the other end, in Utah, which is, not right next to Vegas. It's not far, but it's not right next to Vegas either. But they had a lot less impact, which is really interesting. So the eastern seaboard, as we have seen in the Fallout games, is devastated, not too dissimilar from what's occurring here. I think that's interesting. I think it makes sense population-wise. The density is just higher out there, and that would obviously make it a target. The capital's out there. We have New York City. We have Boston. All these different places are pretty, in my mind, would be heavy targets. Whereas on the western seaboard, the cities aren't as close together as they are in the east. It's a considerable drive from like LA area to San Francisco. It takes 6+ hours, if not longer. By car. So like something interesting to note about that, whereas like I feel like the cities on the East Coast are a lot more close together. Like densely populated cities are closer together over there. So similarity. Just hop back in.
Okay, I get it. Stewie, I screwed up. All right, I shouldn't have altered the past, but is there anything we can do?
Well, the only way to fix this is to return to the moment when we first arrived in the past and stop you from spilling the beans about 9/11.
Okay, let's do it.
I don't know what the logic on like preventing 9/11 would cause, but they always say like the butterfly effect, one thing can affect another thing, can affect another thing. You don't know the outcome of what's going to happen. So this is kind of the end of the sequence here where they're actually in the like nuclear like future that they've created, or Brian created. All right, so to round out this video, we have another like clip show episode. This is like viewer mail suggestions. I don't think any of them are real, but maybe they are. This is season 3, episode 21, and a little bit into this episode, they do a sequence where they all come into contact with like radioactive waste or toxic waste that gives them mutant abilities. It's not directly Fallout, but I still think it's a fun one to watch. So that's what we're gonna do.
He thinks inside.
Maybe it's candy.
Chris, no!
Lois. Let him dream.
Ugh, what is this stuff?
Yeah, it's some kind of nuclear waste.
Dear me, does anyone else feel a trifle queasy? What? Do I have a boogie? I say, it appears my cranium has doubled in size.
This is when Stewie was like super scientific and articulate in that manner, which I think they've moved considerably away from. I mean, he's very smart no matter what, but like they've definitely moved away from this version, the OG, you know, version of Stewie, which is funny to see looking back on it.
How delightful! This toxic stew seems to have given me telekinetic abilities.
Okay, I want that to happen in Fallout. I want more abilities from toxic waste. Can we just get like one character who gets superpowers from the radiation, not turns into a ghoul, but gets actual superpowers? Like I want that. Sounds like a good freaking time. Take inspiration from Family Guy Fallout creators. That's what we want. We want it. That would be cool. I don't know. That'd be sick. I guess there's like elements of that in Fallout 76, but you know, not superpowers, but ability. Like there's like the higher jump and stuff. I want this energy. Although I guess you could make the argument that you are telekinetic in Fallout because you can when you pick up something, because how the game engine works, it literally just floats in front of you and you're not actually touching it, you know? That's just more engine mechanics than anything, but I'm going to call it telekinesis due to the radiation. That's what we're calling it.
Hey, I can make fire.
Hey, Chris, come here a second. This is gonna be hilarious. Okay, on a count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Do it again.
All right, everyone. Clearly something very strange has happened here. We each...
It's like old Lois voice, too. She's definitely, like, her voice has changed as she's aged. I don't know if it's like she's intentionally changing it or just because the voice actress is aging. Your voice gets deeper as you age, even as women, y'all.
seem to have acquired superpowers from that nuclear waste. We've been given a gift. And whether that gift is Chris's fire conjuring, Stewie's telekinesis, Brian's super speed...
Ask me how the Queen of England is.
How's the Queen of...
She's great.
Peter's morphing ability.
R.I.P.
Hey, Lois, I'm a wishing troll.
My super strength.
Yeah, so that's all their powers except Maeve, who has
Meg's,
fingernails.
Super amazing ability to grow her fingernails.
Yeah, so they go through the episode, you know, they kind of have their like superhero arc in this episode, the rest of this episode. And then, you know, Adam West gets jealous and he jumps in the nuclear waste and it makes him sick, as you would expect it to. So.
Mayor West, you have lymphoma.
Oh, my.
Probably from rolling around in that toxic waste.
I see.
Yeah, so, you know, that's that. That's the rest of that episode. Do I think any of these episodes have direct Fallout influence? I'm going to say definitely not for the one from the 3rd season. It's very early on in their run, which is the one we just watched. From the one in season 16, the first one we watched, perhaps a little bit. I like that reference. I do think it's more 50s inspired. But that one we sandwiched in the middle, I think definitely has some Fallout-y elements to it. Obviously, it's also taking from, you know, it's taking it from Terminator quite heavily as well, but I do think it has some Fallout-y vibes to it. But let me know what other media, TV shows, whatever, has things that you feel like are Fallout reference. The next version of this series we're going to do on this channel here is we're going to be watching a episode of The Twilight Zone that we know for a fact inspired Fallout. We'll go back and do another American Dad after that, and then we'll see based off your suggestions. Let me know in the comments. Have a safe and wonderful day in the wasteland. Don't forget to enter to win, babes. And I will catch y'all in the next video. Peace.